Sound the planet fall loud and high, from rise will pour to the earth's own sky. Let every man his slogan cry, to rise and strike for Dorsai.
In September of 1973, at the World Science Fiction Convention in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, someone took advantage of the hired hotel security doing receipt checks at the door of the art show, showed one for a lesser value purchase, and exited the room with a very expensive Kelly Freas original. This event prompted Robert Aspirin, a good friend of Kelly's and future published author, to realize that there was a real need for a Fanish-based security team, a crew that knew the ropes of convention running but also knew the ways of fandom. In the fall of 1974, Aspirin pulled together people that he knew from various parts of fandom, including the Society for Creative Anachronism's Dark Horde. They took the stage at that year's World Science Fiction Convention, DisCon 2, in Washington, D.C., did a bit of shtick, and struck a pose. Aspirin then stepped forward and announced that they were the Dorsai Irregulars, and explained the idea of a Fanish security force, and said that they were ready to serve. The name Dorsai was borrowed, with glad permission, from the works of Gordon R. Dickson. In literature, the Dorsai were the perfect soldiers, as close to supermen as you could get. This Fanish group could not match that prowess, thus becoming the Irregulars, who had to rely on quick wit and winking charm, but also strong determination and a desire to keep conventions safe and fun. The first contract the DI took was for a simple crowd control job at WindyCon 1 in Chicago that October. Soon after that, a small but lively convention associated with the Fanish group at Michigan State University, QuestCon, contracted the DI to provide crowd control and guest escort. This being a Star Trek con, a change in uniform seemed fitting, and thus a new aspect of the DI was born, the Klingon Diplomatic Corps, or KDC for short, sort of kinder, gentler Klingons who both entertained the members of the con and kept the peace. Yeah, the makeup and the costumes added a level of challenge at times, but the response was awesome. And soon more and more contracts came in, big and small, and the DI grew, adding new members to fill the ranks. A major event took place in September of 1975, when the group was contracted to provide guest escort and crowd control for what was at the time the largest convention to date, the Chicago Star Trek Convention. The crew donned their KDC personas and waded in. Their primary job was to make sure that the stars from the original Star Trek series got to and from their scheduled events without much hassle. This gig at the Chicago Con led to an appearance in Time magazine. In January of 1976, the DI reached maturity by going above and beyond at the New York Strucktacular. The convention seemed doomed from the start. From the con overselling the con by double, to the program books being late. By the way, the DI ended up recruiting the truck driver who delivered them, and who remains a good member and true to this very day. The final straw was the heads of the con taking the money and running, leaving all the vendors hanging, except for the Dorsai Irregulars, who insisted on being paid up front. It helps when your leader and founder was an accountant. The DI manned the front gates, calming down the crowds of people being told by the fire marshal that they could not enter the function space due to overcrowding. Ask one of the DI to recount the toe sock story for you sometime. People scrambled, guests volunteered to do their presentations again, and by cycling people through the con spaces, everybody got their photos, and their autographs, and their tribbles. And the Dorsai Irregulars got the heck out of Dodge. These events formed the crew, the methods for convention running, and taught us what we were made of, and what we are capable of, and prepared us for the future. What do we do? How can we help you make your con better? Guest escort. An often underappreciated service is guest escort. Guests often need assistance getting to and from their events uninterrupted by the overenthusiastic fans, and getting there on time with everything they need, from promotional materials to hot tea. Autographs and photo lines need wrangling, and the crowds need to be kept calm and informed. Crowd control. A crowd of people are a fluid, and they will flow to fill all available spaces, and controlling that flow is fundamental for any event. Crowd control can be as simple as badge and credential checks at a door, or as complex as 10,000 people needing to form a single file line through an open space. A large crowd can test anyone's patience, but not just anyone can deal with such a group. The days are long, and to do it with a smile and a joke takes talent. Safety. Over time, safety has become much more of our focus. Crowd control deals with getting people from place to place smoothly, but safety focuses first on assuring that people don't endanger themselves or others. Second is how the convention reacts if something bad occurs. It is a balance between allowing people to have fun and making sure they do so safely. Harassment. Harassment has become the single largest area of concern of conventions in the past few years. We have taken great care to develop and refine a system for dealing with harassment issues in a fair, compassionate, effective, and consistent manner. Not just for security anymore. While security has been our primary focus, it's not all we do. From time to time, we are called upon to fill other convention roles. Sometimes it's working for a given department. Sometimes it's running said department from the get-go. Several times, we've been called in on an emergency basis to leap in and take over a department with only months or even weeks to go before the convention. We have done this for art shows, registration, even charity auctions. One area we do a great deal of work in is auctioneering. Art shows, charity auctions, you name it. We are proud of the depths of our talent when it comes to not only selling to an audience, but keeping them entertained. Not just for fandom anymore. While the Dorsai regulars were spawned out of science fiction fandom, it's not our only outlet. We will work with any group who has a need of our services. For an example, for several years, we were the flight line security team for the Warbirds at the huge EAA fly-in in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Keeping people safe around these large, yet potentially dangerous craft, and keeping the expensive craft safe from the overeager public. It was very hard work, but it was so much fun. When spending time with the likes of astronaut Frank Borman, famed test pilots Chuck Yeager and Bob Hoover, and heroes like Bud Anderson was just an aside, you know we are having an amazing work week. We've done events for libraries, quilting societies, and even weddings and funerals. Entertainment. We are very proud of the extra talents of our members. Artists, writers, makers, photographers, jugglers, hypnotists, and more. But most likely, because our founding members were already established filkers, we have a long tradition with music. We, as a group, have been the music guest of honors at a con or two. Most likely, if we're working a con and find ourselves with some off-duty time, many of us will end up in the filk, or even doing concerts. Things and things. Besides our work at conventions, we maintain a social side of our organization. We will often open our suite in the evenings at conventions, whether we're working them or not. Every year, we hold our annual business meeting, and from the start, we've coupled this with a social event, which is more like a family reunion we call Dorsai Thing. We also invite select non-members of the DI to join us for food and drinks and events and outings and fun. So, how do I become a member of the Dorsai regulars? Well, to quote an old joke, practice! Membership of the DI is by invitation only. We recruit from the pool of people who we have seen in action, whether it's working directly with us at conventions or those who excel in other areas of conventioneering. We are often in need of people to help us out at conventions. If you are interested in working with us in the future, contact us and see if we need volunteers. Contact info. For more information about the Dorsai regulars, visit www.di.org. or drop an email to contact@di.org.
We are all here together, here to drink and to fight, with our strength in our backs and our weapons in plain sight. There's not a man among them could back us down tonight, as we drink to the health of the Dorsai. If it wasn't for the Dorsai, what would you do? You wouldn't have the freedom to take a drink or two. You wouldn't have the choice of the devil or the blue, if it wasn't for the work of the Dorsai. Oh, there's gunners and there's dirtmen and there's lasermen and all. There's guards and there's assassin and there's gunner fighters tall. We're drinking tonight before a planet fall, and we'll drink to the health of the Dorsai. If it wasn't for the Dorsai, what would you do? You wouldn't have the freedom to take a drink or two. You wouldn't have the choice of the devil or the blue, if it wasn't for the work of the Dorsai. You you think you're all secure and your shields will save your lives. And Dorsai God will catch you in your lies. We're strong and gifted warriors and proud to bear the signs that separate mere men from the Dorsais. If it wasn't for the Dorsai, what would you do? You wouldn't have the freedom to take a drink or two. You wouldn't have the choice of the devil or the blue if it wasn't for the work of the Dorsai.